Now, being a trailblazer, I know you had a lot of like, right now we got a very popular TV series that's out with 50 Cent, BMF.
Right.
And I know you had some ties in there. So what was it like with Southwest T?
I mean, he's a good brother, beautiful brother. You know what I mean? And I can't say enough good about both of them at that particular time, because what they represented was that if you had a good report card and you was a good, you know what I'm saying, you can get hit with some of them things. You know what I mean? And I had a good report card and I'm a good, that thing would land wherever you wanted to land. You know what I'm saying? But what's different than the part that 50 is portraying, because that's one BMF. Them is the nigga that caught. There was a couple of fly niggas, and particularly that didn't, and that's me.
Hello.
So tell us an interesting story about BMF that made you kind of like look at them and be like, these are actually great people.
Well, like I said, is that in terms of T, you know what I'm saying, he was a selfless guy, you know what I mean? And almost to a fault, and most of the time when you get to that level, right, that you no longer are taking care of yourself because you have all the things that you wanted to in life. You now become a victim to everybody else's wants and needs. You know what I mean? And he got that 30, and and I would talk to him and nobody was there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe how many he had took care of and how good a shit that he had did, especially on our side of the fence, and nobody was taking care of him, But when he got home, you know what I'm saying, I hit him. You know what I mean? It was important that, each fight that we have, and I touched some money, he touched some too.
That's dope. That's dope. Props on that, because people really do walk away. You know what I mean? They doesn't matter how much love you show them, they walk away. A good friend of mine did some time, and what he asked me to do was take care of his son, and I did it with it, like, you know what I mean? It was like, but I thought there was a team, and so did he. And like the whole community's gonna take care of his son. It was just me.
Money together.
You know what I mean? And I'm trying to figure out my life on my own, and I'm like, damn, I'm 25 trying to help out. I did everything I could, and when we spoke through the JPay and shit like that, sending them money and talking on the I think it was like called Core Links or whatever, but we were talking on the email, and he was telling me that he's like, man, nobody gives a fuck about me. Everybody's gone.
No, that's the crazy part about it. Even when I went away, right? And I noticed that all the big niggas, the only thing they cared about is going to the visiting room and seeing their kids. So, and that's all I wanted to see was Lil Bill, because he was born in 1990. I got knocked in 1992, right? So he's 2 years old coming to the feds. He's coming to the joint, coming to Lompoc,
Little man.
right? So while in there, his mom was meeting other women that were there with their kids.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Michael Franchese being one, he was in the visiting room a lot of times with his girl. You know what I mean? And it wasn't any mobsters coming to see him. You know what I'm saying? It was his family, right?
Right.
So when I got out, I knew that that was going to change. That that I was going to live. My pops had died. You know what I mean? I got my 2-year-old, right? And I know that from that point on that I was going to live for him. And 1998, Devin was born.
Okay.
Yeah.
The king was born.
The king was born. You know what I mean? So I had an opportunity over again. I had a fresh start to be a dad. And I take that job serious.
Now, Franchese, that you're talking about a guy that had the real mob ties, right? And he also has some ties in boxing.
Yeah.
Back then when they were able to have influence fights. So what do you know about that at all? Were you able to have conversations with him about that?
But yeah, I had conversations, but at that particular time, I wasn't into boxing. You know what I mean? I was more so just a young guy, 22 years old, and I'm kind of listening to the stories, and I'm, you know what I mean? And so I'm like, damn, you got knocked. I'm like, how smart can I be if I get out there and think that I can do it.
Try
You
to
know what
beat
I'm
the
saying?
trend.
Do it. So, but having that illness, you know what I mean? And hearing about these in Detroit that's repping this BMF, right? I jump back out there again. You know what I'm saying? And one of the pivotal moments in me actually changing and getting out for real, was T calling me to come by and you know, to come by and see him. And I had something that, you know, I need to give him. And when we get over there, me and a guy named Dog, one of his runners, never like that at all. You know what I'm saying? And
I
that's
can
the
see it in your face when you said his name.
and that's one of the worst things about being in a crew full of that sometimes you got to work with you don't want to work with. But ironically for me, that toughened my skin up to be in boxing to do a good job for Devin and work with niggas. I said, Dog, let's get the fuck out of there. It's the police. Right? Dog told me, you think? I knew. What's wrong with you? Right? So he goes back. So we go back to go to the car. He hits the boop boop, and now the lights and you know how horn they go on the car. Go boop boop boop. Now the police hear that there's a car there, and I can just hear the rumbling and shit. So I took off running. I took off running, and slept in the woods all night. You know, and my cousin right there, he came and picked me up. You know what I'm saying? I was able to find my way and find back to where, you know what I mean, it was a good spot. One of the houses, you know what I mean? One of the houses that they had or whatever, broke into the house, you know what I mean, and waited till he came. You know what I mean? But it was so much of a close call, and by T never keeping it solid, you know what I'm saying? Because he never mentioned me, you know what I'm saying? Didn't cause me no problem. You know what I mean? I'll forever remain solid with him.
That's dope.
Right.
Yeah. That's crazy. Right. That's a crazy story. You got real history out there. But it is true, right? Like there's always the hothead that no matter what you tell them, they're always like, nah, it's good. I got this. Like, this ain't good. Like, this ain't good, not at all. Like, I don't like the way this looks.
Right.
You know, that's how it happened for me when I got in my trouble. Was like, you know, people making too much noise. And that's usually how it is. Somebody out there is always just a little bit too loud.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
fortunately for me, I had already been to the feds. I went to the feds before T, you know what I'm saying, or Meech. So, you know what I mean? I was able to see big names, you know what I mean, with problems, real grown folks problems, you know what I mean? So it was always on my mind that, you know what I mean? So I was real conscientious about talking on the phones. I was real conscientious about a lot of that shit because, you know, I both had, you know, I had Dev, you know what I'm saying? And I had Lil Bill. So, you know what I mean? That was my world. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, the ends, you know, the ends were supposed to justify my means, right? This is all supposed to be a justification. But actually, you know what I'm saying? It was so detrimental to my parenting that I almost lost them and they almost lost me. You know what I mean? We used to have this thing with all our kids. We called them the BMF babies. You know what I'm saying? He had about 7 of them at that time. He had about 7 of them. Huh? You only have one there?
Just one.
Huh?
One BMF baby. 18 in college.
Yeah. So, what was the like? How did it happen? You're now that happens. You're out in the woods. You hide out, and then you were just like, "I'm done."
Well, of course, you know what I mean. I only had about 300,000 or something that I was taking to him. You know what I mean? But we had to get off still. You know what I'm saying?
You had to get right before you could actually.
And Cuzzo right there, you know what I mean? He was like, man, what are we gonna do, man? They gone, man. They gone. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, cuz, come on, man. That's man, what are we talking about, man? He's like, man, what are we gonna do? I said, all right, well, come on, man. So we called up a couple niggas to say, you know what I'm saying, what's happening? And they's like, yo, y'all still got that BMF shit? No, I said, no, we got some shit, but it ain't the BMF.
yeah.
Just try it. Just try it.
Yeah, that shit's gone.
Yeah.
But now you're a changed man. You're on a different path. At what point do you get into religion?